Hello everyone, welcome to MMK Eagles View. Today we are going to cover a special topic on Pakistan occupied Kashmir. We are going to do a 360-degree analysis of this topic. Welcome, sir.
Welcome, Sai. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, sir. So before going into the current affairs of the topic, what's happening now when we will reclaim Pakistan occupied Kashmir, what is the history behind Pakistan occupied Kashmir, sir? What happened during partition in 1947, which led to India having 2/3 of Kashmir and Pakistan having 1/3 of Kashmir, sir?
I would summarize majorly into four reasons. Firstly, our political leadership at that point of time did not realize the strategic importance of Kashmir. That is number one. Second is Raja Hari Singh. He himself, who was a king of the Jammu Kashmir, so he actually wanted to go with British. He wanted to be an independent kingdom, but he failed to understand the reality. By then, the problem of Islam majority place ruled by Hindu king has already started. And partition did had a lot of impact on this politics as well. He completely failed to realize the ground situation or be realistic in his approach. When he said, I want to have my own country and I'll not, which is kind of Commonwealth pet, like a British Solomon Island, I would not like to be part of neither Pakistan or India. That's reason number two. Third, Pakistan really understood the strategic importance of Kashmir. Especially the British officers who were part of then Pakistani army, they did this trick. And fourth is the British influence. British always wanted to have an uncertainty left in each and every area. The latest one we see is in Israel and Palestine. So this mess was actually created by British. Similarly, British also wanted to have this to check the Soviet coming towards the seas. Soviet had access to the Arctic seas, but they had a very limited access in terms of warm waters, what we see towards Tropic of Cancer. So they wanted to kind of stop Soviet. That's why Afghanistan was a separate country which was carved out, which eventually became a mess again created by British. And lastly, the bureaucracy of India at those point of time, the advisors for our Prime Minister, they actually didn't give the right picture to then Prime Minister. In the sense, the instrument of accession would have been signed a week earlier. If it would have been signed a week earlier, if you would have gone and done a military intervention, which eventually we did, a week before, possibly we would have would have had around another 15% of the occupied Kashmir with us. So these are the five major reasons which eventually led to 1/3 of Pakistan going into the hands of Kashmir going into the hands of Pakistan, and 2/3 is with us right now.
Do you think Jawaharlal Nehru, who was Prime Minister at the time, had an opportunity to take Kashmir completely through military option, but he unnecessarily went to United Nations intervention, which led to ceasefire, which led to the current situation also? Do you think Nehru did a mistake at that point?
I would not say entirely, partially yes or no is the answer. Yes, because it is not that we have to fight them in Kashmir. Yeah, fighting in mountains is a very tough thing. You need to have more logistics, you need to have more this thing. At the time of partition, we were literally, ripped off with everything. Our wealth was stolen. We were looted literally. So India did have the economic capability to fight a war in mountains to an extent, no. To a larger extent, I would say no. But what otherwise could have been done is to open up an offensive in Punjab, because Punjab is dearer to Pakistan. Pakistan, when we see it as a whole, Punjab, Sindh, we have Balochistan, we have Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. But ideally, the Pakistani establishment per se is Punjabis. So Punjab is very, very dear to Pakistan. If you would have opened up a front in the plain, a very strong front in the plain, maybe an offensive operation in the plain, which you always did in the other wars we fought in later on, that should have given us the leverage to take back the occupied part of Kashmir. Because when it comes to Kashmir versus Punjab, Pakistan would obviously choose Punjab as a priority than Kashmir. And then going into UN, the UN was then it was an organization which could effectively end a war. Today, UN is it's of no relevance to any country in the world. UN is of no relevance. But at those point of time, it was relevant, and what we project ourselves as a country matters a lot. What we project ourselves is then what people see us as a nation. So we were projecting ourselves as a kind of left-leaning, socialistic based country which doesn't want to get into war, which is not aligned with any major powers. We don't want to assert ourselves militarily. So those kind of projection was there, which eventually led Pandit Nehru to go to UN, and finally it ended up in a ceasefire. So this is not absolute 0 or 1. The answer lies somewhere between the scenarios we discussed now.
We talked about Nehru, but when we talk about Indira Gandhi, do you think India was in a better position to negotiate with Pakistan in negotiation table when we had 90,000 plus Pakistan prisoners with us? So we could have exchanged themselves for Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Right? So did Indira Gandhi miss an opportunity in 1971?
Yeah, see what happens in this TV debates and the interactions we have on POK is that we have 93 of their Pakistani soldiers, a surrendered army which is very weak. The country has been split. Do we have the negotiation power to take back POK? Yes, we have. On a logical sense, it's not 1+2. It's not that one country is there and then there's some settlement which is happening. You also need to look at the geopolitical situation at that point of time when this war ended. At one point of time, I think somewhere in first week of November, US was about to do a direct military intervention. In a frank sense, it was supposed to attack India in the Bay of Bengal. We have seen their fleet. Mediterranean fleet moved into fifth naval fleet moved into the Bay of Bengal region. Then Soviet has to intervene and they send their nuclear submarines. So it was a direct confrontation between the Soviet bloc and the NATO, the US bloc. So did we really have that leverage to further annoy US? That's point number one. Did we have the economic capabilities of taking US sanctions at those point of time? That's second. Third thing, you also need to know that the war costs considerable amount of money. The war eventually creates a very negative impact on the economy. Yeah, we did take it, but were we there in a position to shake the oil shock? Like at that point of time, 100% of our crude import was imported actually. Saudi went berserk and they went and said that we are going to. They in fact increased oil prices 3 times. So
that was not for India. That was for
the entire world.
Global.
Yeah, globally. So all
that was during the Israel issue, right?
Yeah, till then our economy was closed. It was not open for everyone. So, but the oil import we have to pay in dollars. And US sanctions on us in terms of oil, US still had a sizable control over Middle East, especially Saudi. If they would have blocked us oil supply or the oil supply goes up much more expensive, it would have had a disastrous effect on the economy. And politically, that's what I always say. Where do we call it as a victory? Separation of Bangladesh and establishing a government and then exit, is it success? Or separation of Bangladesh, taking prisoners, leveraging them, go after POK or even go after Gilgit-Baltistan, is it a picture of success? So the political leadership at that point of time decided that this is an opportunity we had, we did it, we came out. So the political picture was decided. Beyond that, it would have costed, at a long run, it would have eventually costed Indira Gandhi her elections. End of the day, we are a democratic country. So all these factors put together didn't actually give us that much of elbow room to go and reclaim the POK with this massive victory we had in our hands. So it's not completely a great picture that Indira has actually missed it.
What is the current situation of POK? What is the current situation of people living in the POK, sir?
See, people living in POK, for us, it's that POK is currently in Pakistan and we have sizable amount of people with us, or people, 1/3 of them are still controlled by Pakistan. For them, they are all brothers, they are all sisters, they are a family, they have lineage, they have linkages, they marry with each other. So the physical boundary, as far as a Kashmiri is concerned, doesn't exist. There are feelings of nationalism. Am I an Indian or am I a Pakistani? How do you address yourself? So POK people have in multiple instances have protested whenever they were under tremendous pressure. Let's understand what POK situation actually is. In remote parts of Kashmir, today we have 5G connectivity. Even today POK, larger parts of POK struggle for a 2G connectivity. Let's take at social parameters, education, food security, your health quotient, your health facilities available is at least 5 times better in the Indian part of Kashmir than the Pakistani occupied Kashmir. So they also communicate. They also know what is happening. The radio channels that we play in Kashmir can be heard by people as far as 150 kilometers deep inside the Pakistani territory, the occupied Pakistani territory. So these things make them realize that India is progressing. And I happened to speak to one of a Kashmiri friend of mine. So they literally had the wow factor, and they literally they celebrated the Chandrayaan mission. Whereas the other side, we see what status of economics or even the status of country the Pakistan is in. So everything is being taken away from them. Their lands are available for as a free plot for the Pakistani retired officers. So whoever retires has an option of going and buying land at as simple as 1,000 rupees per acre. So it's a resort. Their wealths are been stripped off. The Chinese presence. Chinese are not. They don't have anything called humanity. They all see only money. So they have good roads which connects them to the mainland, but they are actually treated as a second-class citizens in their own country. This feeling has come up in 2020 during COVID. Then later now, when the food grain issue happened, they had an issue that please open up the gates of Kargil. We will speak to our brothers. We will go to India. We will trade. We will sell our farm products there. We will get the money, and we want to join India. So there is a sizable population which says that we want to be like livers. We are Indians. Vacate our space. To an extent, say that open up the gate. India and us for other side of the fence. We want to trade. So the perception or the feeling of people lies in between that we want to be integral part of India. Just get away from it to a point where open up the gates for us. There is no pro-Pakistani sentiment per se, or they don't have a feeling of Pakistani nationalism per se. Both the factors are missing, but they don't have a political mass for this. They don't have a political structure like we called Frontier Gandhi, Khan Abdur Ghaffar Khan. So those kind of leaders are not here today. That's a way issue because it's not seen or heard by the external world.
Sir, what's the way forward with the POK, sir? How can India reclaim Pakistan occupied Kashmir? Is it through military action or is it through any non-military action? How India will reclaim Pakistan occupied Kashmir?
See, military action will cost a lot of money. It will literally test our economy for a limited period of time, 3 to 5 years. It's going to cost a lot of bloodshed. We will have to sacrifice a lot of our soldiers for this. So are we ready for all this? And by doing this, what are we trying to achieve? So reclaiming POK, fine. Is it the right time to do it? So these questions are there and always in the policymakers or people's mind. Second, if you have to do this, you have to prepare your people for this. You have to prepare your country for the war. It's a process. So as of now, I am not seeing that signs here. We don't see a prime minister or the cabinet preparing the people for war. That's a larger game in it. So it's not being done as of now. The other way of looking at it is, why should we exactly do a war to regain POK? Now there are 4 scenarios. We are an advantage, and there are few scenarios where we need to look at the geopolitical situations and have to wait for it. First of all, our relationship with the US is far better. We are no more, or you would say, enemy, or I would say we are strategic partners now. So you can get US and other countries on board. Second, the external country's intervention in Kashmir is almost nil now, except Erdogan, who speaks now and then about Kashmir. We don't see any other countries or Islamic countries voicing support for Kashmir. Or if you do that, take a military action or a non-military action towards regaining, will any Islamic country stop trade with us, stop oil trade with us? The answer is no. So those are the geopolitical conditions which is in currently our favor. Our policy makers, our government has worked towards it with due credits to them. Second is the Chinese involvement. Will it open a two-front war? What will be the China's involvement in it? That's a bigger question. Okay, now let's go for a political solution for this. How much China will interfere? We have seen it in Maldives, we have seen it in Nepal, now we are seeing it in Bhutan. So will they play the spoil sport? Definitely they will play the spoil sport. Do we have a playbook for that? If China does it, what India does? So that question arises. Third, political instability of Pakistan. It is possibly at the rock bottom now, but it eventually will go further down. Their people's anger against the military establishment. It is on a scale of 0 to 10, it is currently at say 3 to 4. Will it reach 8? That's another question. And Pakistan's existential question mark is there. They are facing loans, their economy is under debt, they don't have further foreign investments. Whatever the money they get here and there goes for interest repayments. And finally, when this country will realize that the love for Kashmir and the amount of money they have spent for their military to kind of retain the POK, is it worth for a common citizen to pay and suffer this much? So these 5 questions, when the common Pakistani realizes that this is of no use to us, you can hear these voices here and there right now. If you look at the Pakistani social media, like, what about Kashmir? You're not even able to feed our own people. Why are you talking about Kashmir? So these things are coming up in the Pakistani intellectual circle. All things favors. Then eventually Pakistan has to give away, or I would say go back from POK. Definitely we also need to offer them something in their plate. That something may be a monetary benefit, it may be a trade concession, it may be opening up of routes, except giving away or exchanging some physical territory. So these options will eventually decide when the POK will come. The military way, I don't think so, is not the right option to do it. The other reading we can see is the current elections which we have. We can have a separate podcasting on this. We have to discuss that in detail. But a non-military option of kind of settling Pakistan in one way or the other is seen to be a feasible solution, and there are clear indications that both the governments are working towards it.
How many years it will take for it, sir?
See, it again all depends on the geopolitical situations today. As of now, the war between Israel and Hamas, the Middle East is under crisis. No country, even the good friends of India, would want India to take such an action now. The world countries will never want India to open up one more front, and that too in a very critical neighborhood where the 3 nations have a nuclear weapon in their hand. Once this thing settles...
Don't think that the nuclear weapon which Pakistan have now, they don't have it on 1947, they don't have it on they didn't have it on 1965, they didn't have it on 1971. After 1998, both India and Pakistan became nuclear power. So don't you think Pakistan's nuclear weapon gives them a deterrence factor?
It does give them a deterrence. But we have, on multiple times, we have called out their nuclear bluff. So their nuclear doctrine says that it's a very powerful force. The size of the army is very different. If such a massive force always gives us an existential crisis. This is what the doctrine reads. On such scenarios, when India does a large-scale conventional operation, we will be forced to use tactical nuclear weapons on the forces, on the invading forces, which they mean in the sense is Indian army. Whereas India's nuclear doctrine is completely contrasting. It says that we will not use no first use policy against India, against Pakistan or China, but not the countries mentioned. But it also says any form of nuclear or biochemical attack on country will lead to maximum retaliation. That maximum retaliation is the key. That maximum retaliation typically means using 2 or 3 nuclear warheads on the major cities of Pakistan, which is Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad and Peshawar. Will Pakistan take this risk of using a nuclear, even at a tactical level, to jeopardize their 4 major cities? So that's the biggest question mark. This always goes in the Pakistanis mindset. Second thing is the deterrence capability India has got today. We have S-400s. We have our own systems coming up. We have a very strong missile defense system. We have very good delivery mechanism of the nuclear weapons, which is Rafale, Sukhoi is air-to-air, Mirage is, we don't have a bomber, strategic bomber, but we have the frontline fighter jets who can deliver it via air, and we have silos which can deliver it from the land. We can deliver it from the sea, and we also have the capability of delivering under ocean, the second strike capability, which very few countries have it. So Pakistani policy makers do know the risk of it. So just by using a nuclear weapon to kind of save POK, in any which way they can't. It's just a matter of time how much they can make India bleed before India takes it. So that question still remains in the frame. So I don't think so they'll be exercising the nuclear option to safeguard Kashmir, because the largest stake is in Punjab and the cities of Punjab, which they would not want to compromise by using any form of nuclear weapon in POK, in the case scenario arises.
Sir, coming to the previous question, how long it will take, sir? How many years it will take?
See, I would say I always compare it with East Pakistan. The liberation of East Pakistan was planned in the end of 1966. It happened by December 13, 1971, which is 5 years. Geopolitical situations were then hostile too. We were not part of any security alliance. We had the courage to even stand up to the American direct military intervention. Today's things have changed. We are much progressive. We are much powerful economy. We are much better military power than 71. But the geopolitical situations are also equally changed. China would interfere if we do it militarily. It may be a two-front war. Are we ready to fight a two-front war? Do we have the logistics for it? Do we have the economic muscle for it? Are people prepared? So all these questions arises. And when we have the option of settling it off the table, so those options are being continuously excised. So I would say before 2030 would be my answer, or it can be as early as 2 to 3 years. So for that you need to clearly look at the outcome of 2024 elections. Is it a mandate which gives a party 272 plus? Or is it a mandate which is given to BJP, say 350 plus? Or is it a fractured verdict where a coalition government forms either by NDA or the India alliance, whichever way? So these factors play a major role in deciding when we will exactly reclaim the Pakistani occupied Kashmir.
Sir, you shared a lot of things about POK's history and how it was formed, and what is the strategy behind India's motive to reclaim POK. So, what do you think is the future of POK in next 5 to 6 years? You also told that by 2030 you will reclaim POK, but till then, how the process is going to be, sir?
So we need to continuously advertise and we need to promote to the world how exactly Kashmir has transformed since 2018, the abolition of Article 370. That will give people of Pakistan is also ample time to understand and evidences to understand this love for Kashmir is the existential crisis for them. They have spent too much of their money, which should have been spent in education, healthcare and elsewhere, to their army, which has never won a war till date. So this has to be advertised, this has to be going as a campaign, and we also have to continuously engage with the POK's intellectuals and the leaders who are outside POK. The couple of them live in UK, couple of them live in US. So this is the last 1 year I'm seeing them coming to Delhi, attending those conferences. So those kind of thing. And thirdly, if there is a political party or a leader which is coming up who will genuinely represent the rights and voices of the people of occupied Kashmir, those leaders need to be nourished and those leaders have to be recognized by India. Only then we will be moving on a fast track mode in this. And secondly, more than above, the political will of the Indian politicians. So that matters a lot.
Sir, thank you for sharing your opinion on Pakistan occupied Kashmir, its history, its strategy, and what's the way forward. We'll do a different topic in the next podcast series, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Jai Hind. And sir, keep coming to this new channel.
Sure, definitely.
Because your input and your way of presenting things is it is like
Thank
the
you.
audience.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.